Hello everyone, welcome to Solo Board Game Alert. I'm Robert, and today I'm gonna discuss Earth Under Siege Flashpoint. And what better game to introduce with my recently created XCOM themed intro that you just saw?
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Because Earth Under Siege is a heavily inspired by XCOM dungeon crawler. And this game completely flew under my radar until I saw One Stop Co-op Shop's playthrough of it during December. So now there's a reprint campaign, which also includes a new Nemesis expansion. And prior to that, Dark Horizon Games first printed this game with a Kickstarter campaign that garnered over 200,000, which is not the biggest amount for most games of this scale with so many miniatures. So as I saw someone comment, this game could have definitely not seen the light of day with this kind of funding, but I'm glad it came through and they delivered it, and it's gotten amazing reviews. So to give you an idea, because I've read some reviews and seen some playthroughs, so this is a co-op dungeon crawler for 1 to 4 players, and it is campaign based, but it does offer a single shot mode, and this game has a heavy emphasis on stealth. And just to give you some background, the only board game that I've tried that has stealth mechanics was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Venice. But unfortunately, that game turned out to be a huge flop for me, and the main reason why was because the stealth mechanics were extremely punishing. If the alarm went off, it was pretty much game over, and I did not like the fail forward mechanism that they went with, where like basically you get to play it again with recruits instead of your main characters. I just did not find that fun, so I dropped the game after a few missions. Now, from the reviews that I've read, this game handles the stealth mechanics and the stealth emphasis really well. And yes, there's still always a chance that the alarm could go off early on during the missions, but there's tons of dice mitigation in this game. So in this game, you're going to control up to 4 characters, and they each come with a deck of cards. And they have these action tokens, of which they start with 6, which you can use to move and do other actions, but you only get to regenerate 3 action points per turn. So you have to carefully manage those action tokens, okay? But if you save them and plan accordingly, you can pull off big turns, and you can just use a bunch of action points in the same turn, action tokens. And this reminds me a bit of Oathsworn. It has a free flow like turn structure where one player can take an action and then any other player can take an action. So if you maneuver correctly, you can pull off some big turns and do lots of cool things. And when it comes to the dice mitigation I mentioned earlier, so everything here resolves around rolling dice. There's white dice and then there's red dice. So red dice are better than the white dice. And you're looking for successes, which you use for determining if attacks hit and if you pass tests when you do tech stuff like sabotaging and interacting with elements in the map. And you can dice mitigate by doing things like discarding cards from your hand. You can also reroll dice by voluntarily adding tokens to this escalation track, but you gotta be careful because if you fill it up too quick, the alarm will go off and the mission can go to hell really fast. You can also discard these focus tokens in order to reroll dice, or you can use them to enhance the actions that your character's cards do. So as you can see, there's tons of dice mitigation in this game, which is great. And one other thing it does to reduce upkeep if you want to play as a solo player, if you don't want to control 4 full characters, it offers a system similar to Oathsworn where you can control lesser versions of characters, which will only provide some passive bonuses. So that way you can focus on controlling a couple of full characters with their full decks of cards, which will greatly reduce upkeep for a solo player. Another important point with this game, which for me is a huge selling point, is the fact that the campaigns are only 20 missions long, which sounds like it's something more right up my alley and something that I could conceivably finish. But there's still huge replayability thanks to the fact that there's branching paths, and then there's also variables for each mission. So you see, for each mission, you're gonna draw a complication card, which will make you approach the mission differently. Not to mention that there's 6 classes for you to play with team composition, and even more if you add the extra character add-on pack, which will add more variety for your character compositions. And as you progress through the campaign, your character cards will get upgraded to scale accordingly with the enemies. Now, there's one really cool mechanic that I like that this game has, where there's this blip tokens representing enemy pods. When they're on their green side, they're static, but if they hear noise, you'll flip them to their yellow side, and then they'll go looking for the source of noise, which is really cool. But when you set up a scenario, you do know which enemies could possibly spawn, as per scenario setup instructions. But yes, this game has a heavy emphasis on stealth, and from what I've read, you do not want to go guns blazing. That rarely pays off. You want to complete your mission and try to never sound the alarm and get out of there as fast as possible. So yeah, if it wasn't obvious by the intro, I'm a huge XCOM fan, going as far back as the original XCOM from the 90s. So I'm kind of shocked that this game went under my radar. And I've always loved the idea of a board game that could possibly translate XCOM to tabletop. And Kingdom Death Monster more or less achieved that. So yes, definitely color me interested because I love dungeon crawlers and I love XCOM. What I'm not sure yet is at what level I'm gonna back this. I know myself, and I know that if I go like all in, probably a lot of that content's gonna go unplayed. So I'm gonna still ponder what I'm gonna add. But at the very least, the base game sounds great, and probably the extra operatives, that sounds really cool as well. So just for a content overview, the World Killer expansion, what it does is it adds an extra portion of the campaign that picks up where the core box campaign left off. And then there's the new Nemesis expansion, and from what I understand, it'll basically offer a mode where you play a few missions in succession and then you face a boss at the end. So it's a mini campaign of sorts, and it also includes extra mini bosses. So yeah, between the conventional campaign and the Nemesis campaign and also the one-shot mode, there's many ways to play this, but I don't know how viable the one-shot mode is, honestly, because XCOM is meant to be played as a campaign game, and what's interesting is seeing your squad members evolve over time and becoming badasses. So it's cool that they offer the one-shot mode, but I definitely would want to play this as a campaign game, and I can't stress enough how grateful I am that it is a decent campaign length that is not going to demand hundreds of hours out of my time in order to complete it. So that really is a huge selling point of this game for me. But yeah, folks, I'm definitely interested in this. I'm just going to have to figure out a bit of shelf space for it. But I'm going to be excited to try this when it arrives sometime later. And I want to ask you, so are you interested in this game? Are you avoiding it? Are you backing it? And if so, let me know what your pledge level is and why. And also, if you've seen some of my videos and you've tried this game yourself, any insight as to how it compares to other games that I love in this genre, I'll definitely love to hear what you have to say. But yeah, folks, that's my quick overview of the campaign and the game, and I wish Dark Horizon Games success with this. It looks really cool, and I can't wait to try it myself. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, go ahead and put them in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.